Thank you all for coming today. We're going to get started. My name is Zuikei Taniguchi. I'm the second son of this family, and just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Someone lost a white iPhone, and so on the back table, if you are missing a white iPhone, please come and claim it. Number two is that there are a bunch of these pictures that I uncovered throughout the last 30, 40 years. And please take them, if you see yourself, please take them back. There's some great memories here, so we encourage you to look through them. And finally, for today, this is an open mic, and we want to make sure everyone gets a chance, so please do not be shy. It can be in Japanese, it can be in English, or any language, but just please come up and feel free to share your stories and memories. I'd like to thank, before I begin, the planning committee that helped make this possible. So there's Mary, Dan, Yumi, Howard, and many, many others for making this all happen. So can I get a round of applause for everybody? Thank you so much. I tried to calculate how many sermons I listened to in my life and lectures, and I think it's close to about 1,000 throughout my years. That's not including weddings and funerals. But I like to share one that I'll always remember. And so people kind of ask me what kind of person my father was behind closed doors. And I can tell you he was the same charismatic and energetic person that you saw week in and week out every Sunday. The part of being a reverend, however, that you didn't get to see is being on call 24 hours a day. And there would be times when the phone would ring in the middle of the night and a temple member would be calling from Alameda Hospital or Highland Hospital, urgently asking him to rush over so he could perform makudakyo, which is the bedside service. Someone just passed away. And I remember there was a span where many temple members passed away in a short time. It seemed like he was doing funerals every week. He was consoling family members, and it just seemed such a tough job. And so I asked him one time, I said, well, does this job ever affect you? Does it take a toll on you, right? Because these were just not temple members, but people that he grew with, that he's known. They were his friends, and he's known them for decades. And he responded, he said, well, you live through the people that you meet. You remember their values, the good they brought into this world. Share their stories, emulate their positive traits, and continue to live that legacy of theirs. So I want you to walk away today with this understanding that as much as my dad made an impact on your lives, you all made a tremendous impact on him, each one of you. And he took each of these experiences and helped him to mold this temple to what it is today. And this energy that's in this room today and how you feel, it's very special. I feel like every time you walk through those black gates, you're brought into a very, very magical place here. And to see how much this community has grown throughout the years is really tremendous. And it's because of the people today, the reverends in the past, Reverend Terao and the past reverends and the current reverend right now that make this possible. And the legacy they carried and is very impressive. And please ensure the future generations acknowledge and honor this legacy as well. I have no doubt that you will. And so before I finish, I'd like to share a story. And you might be wondering if you heard the song Country Roads playing by John Denver. Well, that was one of my favorite songs, my dad's favorite songs. And the lyrics are so fitting, especially for today. Country roads, take me home to the place where I belong. And so Sensei is home now, here in Alameda, and in the Pure Land where he is. Now, I'm not a believer in the supernatural, but this past Thursday, I was in Newport Beach writing this speech for my dad at a Starbucks. when suddenly Country Roads came on on the speaker. And it was his way of checking in, saying, I'm okay, and his gentle way of saying that I'm okay, I'm here. So the next time you hear this song, think of him, think of this temple, and think of each other. Thank you so much for today. I'm going to now pass it on to my mom. She's going to give a few minutes to talk. Do you want to? I'll move the chair.
I want to stand up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for all of you who came to this gathering. I'm sure Zuikei would like to be here today with you. Today is a day that I want to give him I want to make this opportunity. No, today is a day that I want to make sure that gathering today is an opportunity to praise and thank him. And I also want to share my personal thing between he and me had for 50 years long of marriage. He served at this temple more than 30 years. And about that, Zuiho has mentioned already, it's a really, really tough job. But he really loved it because he loved the people. He remembers everybody's name by first. And he never forget the names that he met, which I'm not good at all. He enjoyed teaching the Buddha Dharma, teaching of the Buddha. And that already Zuiho mentioned here and there. I don't want to repeat it. It's a tough job, but he really enjoyed, first of all. Next, I would like to talk about his personality and praise his virtue. He loved the people, everybody's name very clearly, and he visited many people at home and had a conversation with them. He was also a black belt karate master. He taught at Oakland Buddhist Temple and Alameda Buddhist Temple. He also, so you had better watch him. He was also a very good, many of you may not know, dancer. He was very good at dancing. Any kind of music he danced. He had a very good body motion. Unfortunately, I never danced. And how many times he told me, you shouldn't lead me, you should follow me. And he was very, very, very charming person. I think you all of know. He wanted to make me laugh. He really made me laugh all the time. And I will miss her so much. I really do miss her so much. Zuikei was my husband. And I miss him very, very much. But I want to let you know that I am very happy at the place where I live right now. I have many, many, many good friends, and over there I can share my appreciation of the Buddha Dharma. And at Marine, quite few people knows about Buddhism. So we talk about Buddhism, and we talk about, by the way, out of 25 or 26 people, majority, about 20 people has Alzheimer. My son Zuiho sometimes said, "Mom, you have dementia." But I passed 2 times dementia test. Doctor did 2 times dementia test, and I passed. And as I said, I married Zuikei. Miss him forever. As you know, he was a very good-looking guy. Everybody agree, right? And at the same time, he was a best dresser. He really was. And he was when he danced, he wore the high heel shoes like this. So he really, I will never forget him. And as a wife for 50-year marriage, I will never forget him. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Zuikei Taniguchi, eldest son. First off, thanks to each and every one of you for attending this gathering for my dad. It really means a lot to me, and I was so touched to see all of these people gathered here. But first, extra special thanks to Mary and Yimi and Howard and my brother Zuiho for organizing this. And thanks to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend. It's a bit surreal because, you know, my dad is usually the one who gives these kinds of speeches. And number two, it's tough being the third guy here because they've already said all these wonderful things, and I really don't know how to follow up with this. But I will tell you this. Just seeing all of you here made me realize how my father was able to touch your lives in many different ways. And like my brother and like my mom said, he knew everyone by heart, whether it was Chinatown or Benkyodo or SACBC or elsewhere. He always ran into somebody and they had a nice conversation. And he was like a star to me. He knew everybody. And it's because he always put others first before him. And I think, you know, that's why, like my mom said, he really loved being a minister. He really did. Other than that, I mean, if you look through the pictures, and like my mom said, yeah, he was pretty sharply dressed. You know, my dad had swag back in the day. He had a mean golf game. He rooted fervently for the Athletics and for the Niners. He took us on family trips all over Japan as well as the US. And I miss hearing his voice, you know. That's the one thing that I think I miss the most about him. Like Zuiho said, yes, I was also very lucky to have him and listen to his Dharma talks every Sunday. He had a message which resonated across age or race or sex. He had a message which really, really connected with everyone. So yeah, I think I must have heard about 1,000. That's probably separate from the one-on-one, all-exclusive Dharma talks. Hey, Dad, the new Jordans came out. Can I go buy some? Son, let me tell you about being free of attachment. So yes, I did. He was good at it. He had the perfect baritone voice. So there are 2 episodes I wanted to share with you. One was about when I was, I think, in junior high. It was one of the first interfaith kind of like end of the year services where my dad, as well as ministers and rabbis and all members of different religions got together to have an interfaith service. So my dad was thinking about what to say. And I remember growing up, and there was this one passage which he used to make me memorize, which went something like this. May I be peaceful, happy, and well. May I be free from harm and grief. May I be free from hatred and greed. May I be free from jealousy and envy. May I have courage, understanding, and determination. May I resolve my problems. May I overcome my failures. May I be successful. Wow, I remembered it. It was beaten into my head. Okay, but may I. But he came up to me and he's like, son, I'm doing this interfaith service. I want it to be all-encompassing. I was like, Dad, that's a good question. Let me think about it as well. Of course, I forgot about it. And then the day of the service, he had changed it to, may all living beings be peaceful, happy, and well. May they be free from harm and grief. So changing it from I to they, always putting others before him. And it was perfect. Like it resonated across that congregation as well. So he was good at it. It's something that I look up to, and it's something that I know that can never be repeated. In closing, there was one other passage that he shared towards the later end of his life, which I found to be most resonating. I will read it in Japanese first. Maybe some of you understand it. Mom, I know you understand it. 寂しい時には目をつむろう。まぶたの裏には広い世界がある。悲しい時には手を合わそう。胸の中には光がある。Which translates to, in moments of loneliness, gently close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, a boundless world unfolds. In times of sadness, join your hands together in Gassho. In my heart, your light still glows. So, I hope that he continues to burn in your hearts as he does in mine, because that way I know he will live on forever. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now? Oh, yeah, okay. I'm Jeff. I'm here with my wife, Amanda. And I just want to say that Zeke was not my reverend. Shoyo was not my reverend. They were my dear friends. We lived next door to each other. And over the years, we got to be very close. And I learned so much from both of them. I can give you just so many examples of me being in my yard and seeing Shoyo through the bushes. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jeff. And she'd say, do you have apples? So throw them over. Throw them over for the deer, because they loved it all. They loved the people. One thing you didn't hear is that not only did Zeke and Shoyo love everybody, they loved everything. So it was whether it was the deer, it was the birds, they just wanted it all. And I remember one time my little grandkids came over, and they liked to swim in the pool and eat outside. But the yellow jackets would come. So I'd set yellow jacket traps, and Zeke would see me, and he'd look at me and he'd go, no. He goes, I understand you want to have that on your property. Don't let that come onto my property, because everything was sacred to him. It didn't make any difference what it was. I don't know what else to say. He was a wonderful guy, and we'll miss him. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to, many of you don't know who Jeff and Amanda are, but I want to add one thing, which I am not prepared, but Jeff and Amanda are the people who saved my life when I had a gush of blood coming when I sat in my bathroom one day on the third floor, and I fainted. And I lost my consciousness, and Jeff and Amanda came to our house and called the fire department, and then policemen came. And immediately they took me to the Marine emergency. I stayed at the hospital for 2 nights, and 2 nights after I was discharged, I came back home around 4 o'clock, and my husband prepared me soba noodle, and I had a slurp of soba he prepared for me, and I felt something, so I went to the bathroom on the second floor, and I had another gush of blood coming, and I fainted again. And Zuikei took me to the Marine emergency one more time, 2 hours later, and I stayed there for 11 days. Having pancreatic cancer, which nobody here didn't know, but he himself had cancer, he pushed me, he drove me to the Marine emergency again, and I had a surgery on my intestine, and the doctor took out about 11 inches of intestine, and immediately by touching the intestine, she thought it's malignant. And I thought, oh my goodness, he has a cancer, and if I have a cancer, what happened to us? And that was only December 8th that I fainted again after the second gush of blood, and the doctor cut my intestine, and fortunately it was immalignant. And until then, I was the person who was taking care of my husband, Zuikei, but now he is the person who has to take care of me. So both of us in the critical condition were in bed, but without Jeff and Amanda, I am not here today. And fortunately, I could have a successful recovery and finding that my intestine was not malignant. So that's why I am able to be here. And in that sense, I want to add Jeff and Amanda really thankfulness to both of you. And quite often, he still come to my assisted living and take me to the Tokyo market. And I really appreciate for what both of them. Sometimes Amanda cleans my house. And I'm really happy to have you. They are not just a neighbor, but friends, life-saving friends. So thank you so much, Jeff and Amanda, coming today.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Nakano Glenn, and I'm speaking on behalf of my entire family to express our deepest condolences to Reverend Mrs. Shoyo Taniguchi and the entire Taniguchi family for your loss. We were privileged to know Taniguchi Sensei, who taught us all so much about the Buddha Dharma during his years as a minister of the Alameda Buddhist Temple. Our extended Nakano family, including my father and mother, my uncle Mas, and my cousins Ron Nakano and Jean Nomura, were longtime active members of the temple during Reverend Taniguchi's remarkable tenure from 1983 to 2017. My husband and I and our children lived on the East Coast until 1990 before returning to the Bay Area. Although my husband and I became Sangha members at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple, we attended many services and events at the Alameda Buddhist Temple, including Obon and New Year's celebrations especially. Thus, our family got to know and appreciate and admire Taniguchi Sensei for his humor, kindness, and knowledge of the Dharma. And let's face it, his sartorial style. In our family, we called him the Disco Sensei because of his fantastic wardrobe and stellar charisma. I recall one New Year's service that was followed by a serving of a special gold flake-inflected sake brought by a Sangha member who was a scout for the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. I always liked the name Ham Fighters, for the team. We admired Sensei's ability to incorporate sake into his Dharma talks, such as when he held up a large empty bottle to demonstrate that in life, we share what we have with others until it is gone. Although also memorable was a service presided over by several of Taniguchi Sensei's brothers and a sister, I believe, who were also Jodo Shinshu priests visiting from Japan. It is a measure of how fondly we all felt about Taniguchi Sensei that our daughter Antonia and her partner Scott asked Taniguchi Sensei to preside at their wedding in concert with a rabbi. Happily, he accepted, and he conducted a beautiful and memorable interfaith wedding ceremony. So Gassho, Taniguchi Sensei, we all love and miss you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hiko Shimamoto, and first I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to Shoyo Sensei, Zuido and Zuiho and Mitsuko and Akali for your great loss. Thank you all for coming today to honor and remember our beloved Taniguchi Sensei. It's great to see so many people here. So it goes to show you how many lives he's touched over the years. I would venture to say that I may have known Sensei the longest out of most people here. Our relationship goes back to 1964 when he first arrived here from Japan by ship. He often told the story that my father was the first person that he met when he set foot in this country. And that was because of the nature of my father's business at that time. My understanding too was that Sensei was the last minister to come from Japan by ship, so goes to show how long ago that was. But nonetheless, it was just the beginning of a very wonderful relationship, one that means a lot to me and I'm forever grateful for. When I first met Reverend Taniguchi, he didn't look like any other ministers that came from Japan. He had this stylish pompadour hairstyle, and he was a pretty classy dresser, as has been mentioned. He looked pretty cool. He joined our San Francisco YBA group on many outings, such as ski trips, and even came to some dances. And as has been mentioned, he's a pretty good dancer. But as you know, after San Francisco, he went to Cleveland, then Oakland, and eventually Alameda, where he retired after serving as a minister for 53 years. That's a long time. But going back to 2005 is when I moved from San Francisco to Alameda, and I was able to reunite with Reverend Taniguchi. And for me, I felt as though things have come full circle. It was very gratifying for me. I will miss Sensei's infectious personality and energetic spirit. And as has been mentioned also, he was always concerned about other people. He was concerned about the Sangha. It was never about him. I remember the time that we were planning his retirement party. And Stacy and James were involved there. And first of all, he didn't want any fuss. Mostly, he didn't want it to be at any fancy venue because he didn't want people to have to pay money for his retirement party. He was such a compassionate person. I really admired him, and I feel that like he really lived the Nembutsu life. In addition to his inspirational Dharma messages, Sensei was quite handy here at the temple. As Howard knows, he'd roll up his sleeves and jump right in. I remember when he was leading a crew of us putting up the painting that actually Joan DeStefano did up in the ceiling, depicting the 3 poisons. He liked to use this tool called the stud finder. So he'd run it along the ceiling, looking for a beam or a post or something solid to drill into. We tried to tell him, Sensei, don't rely on that because sometimes it doesn't give good readings. He says, nope, I'm in charge here. Trust me, it'll work. So as he gets his drill and goes up the ladder, he starts drilling into the ceiling, saying, Namanda, Namanda. But I'm going to miss his big smile and his warm greetings. He would always smile at you and you kind of wave like this, But I'm also going to miss his random phone calls. I mean, he would just like call out of the blue. He would just call to say hello, And it would go something like, Hiko, are you busy? Can you talk? Yes, Sensei, I could talk. Oh, I just called to see how you were. How are you? Well, I'm okay. How are you? How's Susan? Oh, she's fine. How are you? Everything okay? Everything okay? Bye-bye. Anyway, Sensei had a favorite saying. He said it many times. He would say, I love you, to a lot of people. Well, it's our turn to say, Sensei, arigato, we love you.
Hello, I'm Joan DiStefano, and I didn't know Reverend Taniguchi right away, but I'm here because in around 2003, Shoyo gave Dharma talks for anybody who would be interested in learning about Buddhism, and I was a Catholic. I'm still Catholic, and but I'm curious, and I want to know about other faith traditions. So my mother was Jewish, so I go to a synagogue too, and so I'm open, you know. Anyway, Shoyo, after I'd been going in 2004, she gave me these wonderful beads, which I still use when I'm here, which is as much as possible. And when I went to the Dharma talks, Shoyo had such a wonderful, beautiful way of putting into context how to live in the Buddhist tradition that fed into every other tradition as a universal truth, but was applied even more succinctly to make it workable and meaningful a person's life. I didn't hear about you're bad, you're going to hell, or give some money and you'll go to heaven. And I thought, oh, heaven, who really cares about that? You know, why can't you just be good to be good? You know, just to fit in and be in harmony with everyone around you. And if you're not in harmony with them, well, wish them well and be on your way. And so Buddhism was fit wonderful for me. So more and more I came, and then all of a sudden, after several years, is when I started to know Sensei Taniguchi more. And I really appreciated the way he put everything, again, he reinforced everything I had learned from Shoyo. Thank you, arigato. And so at one point, he wanted to have the 3 poisons painted on the ceiling. And he says, well, you're an artist, so will you do it? And I went, well, I don't. Yeah, okay, but I mean, I love those poisons, so I should do a pretty good job, you know? So I had one picture that I really hope to bring today, and it was of Hiko and Reverend Taniguchi working on the beginning of the 3 poisons. And it was Sensei that brought over from Japan what he wanted to see, and they were the 3 lions chasing each other around, anger, greed, and ignorance. And I just thought, well, how perfect for today and for every day. So I kept working on it, and finally it got finished. And before I finished putting them up, I wanted to put flowers around the edge. I wanted to show that when we're so consumed by our anger and our greed and our ignorance that we lose track of the beauty that we're not paying attention to anymore. And so it was important for me to not just have them running around in a vacuum, but pay attention to what you're doing. And every moment could be our last moment, so pay attention. So I've learned so much from the Buddhist tradition, and it's totally incorporated into my life, that sometimes I can't help but wonder if even Jesus went off to India and learned a lot from Buddhism and brought it back to Israel. And that's the real deal. But everybody who wants to get involved, they want to morph everything around to their own comfort zone and dilute it and change it. So I really appreciate being here. And after that project, then everybody even painted the rest of the small panels, which I think are really beautiful. And I'm happy that it was from everyone, because it's everyone's place. It wasn't about me, artisti, showing up doing a bunch of paintings. It had to have meaning, and we're all here. It has to have meaning for all of us. So I really appreciate that. And the little panels I put in the door, that was after I was so impressed by everything you taught me, Shoyo. I wanted to give that as a gift to the temple. An enlightened lotus, enlightened lotus. So we're all a lotus, right? So where are we at in that? You know, we're in process. So thank you and thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Terasaki, and I always say, if you don't know me, look on page 3 of your past Wheel of Dharma articles. I want to give our sincerest condolences to Reverend Zuikei Taniguchi, Zui Ho, and Zui Ryo on the passing of your dad. He was such an important member of our BCA Sangha. It was so sad to hear of his passing. So I just wanted to share a few of my thoughts. I didn't actually write anything out this time, so it might be long, it might be really short. You know, Sensei he had such an infectious love for the Jodo Shinshu teachings, and it just came across in how he interacted with each and every one of us. And as 53 years as a minister in the BCA, how many of you did he conduct a funeral service for? Look at all the hands go up, yes. And on the flip side of that, how many of you did he officiate at your weddings? Right? Look at all the hands that go up. Reverend Taniguchi officiated my wedding, Kathy and my wedding at the Buddhist Church of Oakland. It was one of the last weddings that he performed while he was the resident minister of the Buddhist Church of Oakland. I have to say that every time he looked at my sons, there would be this huge smile across his face, because he always felt like he was the person responsible for their being in this world. And I always loved to have him be able to interact with my sons Alan and Kevin, because it gave me great joy to see Sensei feel so proud of the fact that he felt like he was in a position of having their being here in this world. I love Sensei's love for the youth, and we all have shared in those years in which he was the key minister at the Junior YBA retreats in San Luis Obispo. And I can remember those years when we had those Junior YBA retreats, and he would gather the kids on Avila Beach in San Luis Obispo, and they would all just crowd around him. And there was such love and such energy, and his ability to have them understand the Buddha Dharma. It was just a wonderful scene, and I'll truly miss that level of energy that he brought to youth among the Junior YBA, the Bay District Junior YBA members. And I know many of you who are parents of those Junior YBA members, as well as probably Junior YBA members themselves, who remember those experiences with Reverend Taniguchi down in those huts at the San Luis Obispo Buddhist Temple, right? I just wanted to say so much that he had such a great ability to communicate the Shin Buddhist teachings, but you know, you had to listen to him very carefully, because even after 53 years in this country, you still had to listen really carefully because of his heavy Japanese accent, right? And I love to imitate how his English was, but I can't do it justice. But we can all hear him in our heads, right? In the way he delivered, in the way he said, "I love you," and I think I will always remember that as part of how I remember Sensei. So thank you for allowing us to have this service, because for many of us, it was our way of saying goodbye to Sensei too. And we truly want to thank you for allowing this memory, this afternoon to remember his life. So thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Tara Mochizuki from the Buddhist Church of San Francisco. And I wasn't expecting to say anything today, except when I walked in, Shoyo Sensei said, "Oh, please talk, please say something." So I don't have any papers or anything, but I remember Sensei, I knew him almost as long as you did. I can remember when he came from Japan, and his Makoto Abe from Buddhist Church of San Francisco befriended him and introduced him to my parents. And so I remember that there was this hip young minister coming to San Francisco, and then I left. I went to college, I left. But I can remember my mother saying, "Oh, I have to translate for somebody from Japan who is giving birth to a baby." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's fine." And later on, I found out that that was for Shoyo Sensei and Zui Ryo. And so my mother was the translator for him. And that began a series of events where Reverend Taniguchi was always there for us. I left California, came back, went to school, got married, and who was going to do our wedding? Reverend Yamaguchi couldn't, but as many of you have had the experience, Reverend Taniguchi. Reverend Yamaguchi couldn't do it, but Reverend Taniguchi came, and he married us. And then I had kids, and like she was saying, they were in junior YBA, and Reverend Taniguchi adopted them as his own and would say, "Oh, Tim, TJ, hey, nice to see you again," give them big hugs. And, just like there was no time out at all that had passed. We went to Reverend Taniguchi's retirement ceremony at the Chinese restaurant in Alameda, and were greeted with open arms, although I hadn't seen him in a few years. He came to my mother and did my mother's Makurakyo at San Francisco. He was, I think, in Alameda at that time, but we called him up, and he did my mother's Makurakyo. My father passed away during COVID, and he came, and he did his interment service. Reverend Taniguchi was just always around, and I have so many good memories of him, and I think all of you do too. And I can remember the last time I saw him was at Uncle Tad's funeral, Tad Matsumoto in Concord. And I think at that time he had probably had been diagnosed with cancer already. I didn't know it, and he greeted us as warmly as always. He was just a big hug, as usual, and his passing leaves a big hole in my heart. And I just have so much appreciation for you and your family. Thank you very much for sharing him with us for all these years. And please accept my deepest condolences.
Hi, I'm Reverend Henry Adams. I'm the Rinban at the San Jose Betsuin. I'm also honored to serve as the chair of the BCA Ministers Association. On behalf of all our colleagues, I'd like to offer our heartfelt condolences to the Taniguchi family. Kokoro yori okugami o moshiriagemasu. For me, Taniguchi Sensei was a great senpai. I had the honor of serving for 12 years in the Bay District, and when I first arrived, Sensei gave me a warm welcome. And for me also, one of my most clear memories of him, and a memory that really taught me a lot about how to serve as a minister, was also at the San Luis Obispo retreats. And I remember there was a long conversation about which hotel we were going to stay at around the San Luis Obispo area. Oh, this one's closed, we'll be in Shell Beach. And the junior YBA had generously provided us with a hotel. And I remember in the evening, as we were finishing up dinner, we're like, oh, okay, let's all go to the hotel. And Taniguchi says, hotel? What hotel? It's like, no, I sleep in the library. The library? And at the back of the Hondo at the San Luis Obispo Buddhist Church, there's a library. And Sensei said, I love it in here. There's all these old books. And he was there sleeping on this uncomfortable sofa, but he loved it. And the students loved him. I mean, this was right up until the year before he retired. I remember the junior YBA students saying, Taniguchi Sensei's retiring. We've got to get him one more time to be our speaker. And honestly, I was much closer in age to the junior YBA students than he was, but they really related and connected with him. And so I saw that, and that has just been such an inspiration to me, that how to connect with Sangha members, connect with young people. It's really about being able to live with them, to be part of that experience that they're having, to wear a crazy hat. I don't know if you saw the photo of him with the crazy hat on, and really to jump in and to be a fellow traveler in the Nembutsu tradition. And that was really the way he modeled that for all of us as ministers. And I just have a heartfelt gratitude for him. And there's one more thing I'm truly grateful to him for. He would end Bay District Council meetings. If it was going too long, he'd say, hey, enough, Mo. We're done. And it was the deepest act of compassion. At 9:30 at night, we're ready to go home, and Sensei understood that. And we're truly, truly grateful for all of his many years of dana and service to the Sangha. So in deep gratitude, Namandavats. Namandavats.
Couple weeks ago, he sent me this card. So if Tom is not here, I want to share it with you. Particularly, I was impressed by the. I was not preparing for this, but since Tom is not here, he said, where I forgot. Okay. My mother, you know Tom Okamoto? You don't know? Well, Tom was a little bit younger than me, but he was a student of IBS. And Thomas Okamoto wrote, my mother viewed him somewhat as a son and was very happy to assist with tailoring and valued advisor with Fujinkai. And I thought Tom was clearly representing the nature of Zuikei. He thought everybody as his family member. And everybody is not somebody stranger. He really cared each individual. And in his ministerial life, he, as everybody knows him, he worked as like a congregation. He, not as a minister. He worked, he cleaned the bathroom, he cleaned the altar, and he arranged the flower every week, and he was very good at arranging flowers to offer the Buddha. So all those things, he was a second son out of 4 sons and 4 sisters. He was the third son. First son passed away young, about 20 years. And the second son became a teacher. And the third son was Zuikei. And he traveled with his father whenever he is invited as a minister. Home and home was walking, and he followed his father all the time. So as a young child, he determined to become a minister. 7, 8 years old, I guess, without knowing anything about Buddhism, and this is how he learned from his father. So I'm so happy he dedicated his whole life, more than the life that half century of his life, to enjoy, not as a minister only, but as a congregation. He cleaned, he painted, he fixed the roof, he did, many of you know how hard worker he was as a member of the congregation. And that part I most appreciate of. He didn't sit behind, hey, I'm a minister. No, he was not that kind of person. And I learned from him. I always tell my friends here, some of you said me Shoyo sensei or whatever, but I say only Shoyo, only Shoyo. Don't call me sensei or reverend or doctor, whatever. Put out all those titles. After all, what counts is my heart and my personality. So that I want to follow his path, that I want to be a person who really enjoy. At the place where I live right now, as Marine residents, many of them have a deep understanding of Buddha Dharma already. And I'm so happy that I can live there, and I talk about Buddha Dharma, not only that economy, politics, ecology, anything, we learn from them. And they learn what I learned from the Buddha Dharma. I call him the supreme teacher. So don't call him any title, just call me Shoyo. So everybody called me Shoyo, Shoyo, Shoyo. And a couple of days ago, my neighbor of my residence, the next room to my room, when I visited her room, she is a 94-year-old lady, beautiful lady, Anglo, and I saw her diploma, and it says Stanford and Pennsylvania, and I was very much impressed. And she said, I asked her, what did you teach? And she said, math and modern American literature. And a couple of days ago, she came to me, Shoyo, I want your favor. And she said, can you do me the short service? I never said myself that I am a minister or ordained whatsoever. But somehow I kept saying that I have studied Buddhism, and she came to me and Shoyo, please give a short service for my sister who lives in the East. And I said, how old is she? And 74. She is suffering from dying. And she and I had a short service for her. And I was very happy to do that. And every day I really enjoy being there as a student of Buddha Dharma, so that I can share what I learned from my supreme teacher. And so as I used to do, I had a lots of lecture series here, many times, but I can use that opportunity to even today at the age of 80s. So I'm so happy to see like Noel. She used to follow his father-in-law, and she shot video of my lecture. I had it here. So wherever I go, wherever I live, I am so privileged that I have an opportunity to continue my path. And today's speech, so many of you shared their path, and I want to follow my path as long as I live. Sometimes I feel, oh, I lived so long. I should have gone before my husband, but I am not allowed to leave this world. And last 2 days, before he left this world, he completely detached from this world. And I don't know where he did go, but I am so, as I said, I miss him so much. I really miss him. I want to cry, but I know he may be looking at me somewhere, and I know when I cry, he will cry too. He will feel sad, sorry. So one day I determined I never ever cried. So after he left this world, I never cried, even a shed of tears. I didn't. Of course, when I become alone, I cried and cried, but in front of him, I never did. So in that sense, I am deeply influenced by the Buddha Dharma, which I really appreciate. And many of you shared your wonderful, wonderful experiences. And thank you so much again. I really miss that Zuikei wanted to be here today. Now, right now, he may be thinking somewhere, and he may be thinking so. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. It couldn't have gone any better, and this is very special today. I'd like to close this. I'd like to have Reverend Miyagi come up and close today's gathering. There's lots of food. Please take some back. Please hang out. And I'll leave it up to Miyagi-sensei.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody for standing. Let's see, just a little thing that, a week before he had passed, he asked me to come by to his house to pick up some, to donate a couple of Buddhist statues to the IBS, and so I went to go pick them up, and it seemed like business as usual. You know, he was, oh, Takashi-kun genki, and then like the one thing about Sensei I'll always remember is his back is always, oh, Takashi-kun, always straight, you know, very chanto shiteru. It's like I'm always like this, but yeah. So I have many things to learn from him, but yeah, and so it was business as usual, and then 5 days later, I hear that he passes away, and it was just such a shock. I had to confirm, like with a few different people, that's really what was the case. But it just shows to show you that he has this inner toughness, I think, that he didn't really show, or he didn't really talk about, of course, right? And so one of the things, you know, that I learned from that is that, you know, this sense of impermanence, or, you know, that impermanence can happen at any time. And, you know, it's just a big shock, right, to see that can happen. And that, so, you know, when I complain about these Zoom meetings and all these things, you know, I feel like I could hear him saying, like, get it together, Takashi, you know. You're not that busy, you know, act a little, you need to work harder. That's the sense that I get from Sensei. So as Henry Sensei had mentioned, he's truly an inspiration. I think one of the things that I learned is that the Nembutsu teaching is not something you could learn off of books, you know, and it's not something, you know, it's not an academically understandable tradition. It is a lived tradition, and that's truly what Sensei was. And if you want to have an inspiration or a role model of what to live up to, what to emulate, it's Sensei, for sure. Taniguchi Sensei is one of the many that we can look up to follow after. Okay, and with that, I'd like to close today. Thank you very much to the Alameda Buddhist Temple for hosting us. Thank you very much to the Taniguchi family for allowing us to have this moment of closure. Okay, so please join me in Gassho. We're grateful for this wonderful meal that we were able to share with everybody here today, and that we could share and live in the Nembutsu teaching together. Namo Amida Butsu. ごちそうさまでした。Thank you very much.
Yes.